We must move on now to issue 3, the 92 RNC and the Buchanan Brigade. In what Real Clear Politics declared as among their top 10 of all-time convention moments, Pat Buchanan delivered what the New York Times called a jarring political message in what is often referred to as the culture war speech.
Listen, my friends, we may have taken the long way home, but we finally got here to Houston. The first thing I want to do tonight is to congratulate President George Bush and to remove any doubt about where we stand. The primaries are over, the heart is strong again, and the Buchanan Brigades are enlisted all the way to a great Republican comeback victory in November. My friends, we must take back our cities and take back our culture and take back our country. God bless you, and God bless America.
It is incredible to note that 3 decades later, we are having similar discussions as a nation along the same partisan divide, with the notion of a culture war and a battle for the soul of the country. Ordinarily, we go to Clarence here, but we'll breach a little bit of protocol, and naturally, we'll jump right to Pat. And Pat, I've got to ask you, do you believe that that historic speech has passed the test of time?
Well, the issue which I introduced, it wasn't new. It goes back to the French Revolution in the 1960s and the changes. But the whole idea of a culture war, which was considered somewhat bold to say that in those times, is now probably in the title of 10,000 books. And there's no doubt about it. What divides us is different views about morality and culture and race and identity and all of these things now, which are tearing this country apart. But they were evident their beginnings in the 1990s. It was a delight up there, and a lot of people have remembered that speech for a long, long time. Not all of them favorably, Seth.
Well, we think it's terrific, and certainly a moment in history. Clarence, what are your thoughts on that memorable 1992 speech?
Well, that was the first year I finally got to actually cover both conventions. I remember it very well. But there was the culture war began before Pat's campaign, as Pat well remembers. And it did divide the party that year in the way that I'm more accustomed to seeing Democrats divided, say between their left wing and the center.
Well, remembering that 92 convention, Dan Quayle was also, there was a big story because he was objecting to Murphy Brown, a fictional character, having a baby as a single mother. And Marilyn Quayle, Vice President Dan Quayle's wife, gave a lecture to women that they should stay home and not work, even though she was a lawyer who worked at a home. Those issues seem rather quaint compared to today. Also, the population was a lot whiter than it is today. So same-sex marriage, I'm sure that would be on Pat's list of no-nos. I mean, that is now broadly accepted, sanctified by the Supreme Court.
You know, Eleanor, you weighed in on this topic shortly after the convention in 1992, and we have some interesting footage that we'd also like to share as it relates to your forecast for 1996. Let's take a look.
Give us the early handicap on these potential contenders, Eleanor Cliff.
Well, if George Bush wins a second term, Dan Quayle has 4 years to remake his image, but I don't think that's long enough. Pat Buchanan reminded us at the convention, while he will never be president, he's too polarizing. I think he knows it. I don't think he'll run. I think the hope of the Republican Party is with Jack Kemp and William Weld.
Pat ran, but he didn't get very far. He didn't win. He's not president.
Number 2 out of 9.
Jack Kemp was vice president under Bob Dole, and Bill Weld ran a valiant race this time.
We're going to shift focus a little bit, and we're going to go back and dip into time with some thoughts that Clarence expressed regarding the 2000 election. So let's take a look.
Does an independent candidate stand a chance in 2008?
Well, Buchanan, of course, is running as the candidate of what the modern day populist movement that is opposed to NAFTA, is in favor of a moratorium on immigration. Some of these are very hot issues. I don't know how Buchanan's position on the war would stand now, but you might have a chance because I mean your criticisms of the war have been similar to those of people.
You're not going to win. Even I don't believe that.
I don't know.
Clarence, your thoughts there?
I'm trying to remember which war it was now. but well, in any case, what was it Yogi Berra said about how it's hard to tell the future because it hasn't happened yet?
And it seems fitting in this segment that we'll give Pat the final word.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that was the election of 2000, and I only got about 500,000 votes. I'd gotten 3 million in each of the time I ran as a Republican in Republican primaries.